Good morning, everybody. We're going to go live in just a moment. It's so wonderful to see you guys out here. Um, I just want to very quickly ask you guys to introduce yourselves and to write down what you hope to learn today. Send a virtual hello to a friend or a colleague in the comments. Send a virtual hello. All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to start very shortly. I did see a comment that the slides were inaccessible. All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to start very shortly. And that was because of the permissions on the document. So I am going to create another bit.ly very quickly, which I'm going to copy and change out on this presentation right now. Okay. There are quite a few of you on here already, but if you cannot access it, oh, it's coming up the same one. So take a look and see if you can access the presentation now. And I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I see 18 of you guys on, so I'm assuming that we can now access it. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so good morning. My name is Carmela Berthia, and I'm very happy to see everybody introducing themselves in the comments. I know we're going to probably have a full session today. Today's session is Become an Expert, Creating a Tech-Friendly Classroom, even if you don't have it. Again, my name is Carmela Berthia. I won't say it a third time. I am a teacher at Social Justice High School and at World Language High School. I am a choral director, modern band instructor. I am an IDEA member, and I am a future NBCT I'll be finding out about that in December. Okay, so a little bit about why I do what I do. I haven't always been super techie, but I taught elementary school in the first few years of my career, and I always loved the idea of putting tech in the classroom. However, because of the funding that was available to the school I was at, I wasn't even able to get a projector for my room, and so me um, it made me have to be resourceful. So now, after 7 years, I'm going to kind of share just some of the methods and things that I do to kind of make things work in this classroom and in this environment when everything is changing every other day. And I mean, we literally found that out this week, right? Everything is changing all of the time. Okay, all right, we went through that. All right, so prepping for remote learning in theory, probably kind of thought it was going to look like this. I've had months to study these apps and do nothing else. I'm super prepared because nobody has anything else to do all summer, so they've been studying all of the apps all summer because they don't have anything else to do, right? Of course, I'm being facetious. all of my work, all of my students will have devices that work because CPS promised that we're going to have devices that work, and all the kids, nothing's going to happen to anybody's device, right? These activities I found all these activities this summer that are fun and engaging, and I know that I'm going to be able to use them because I've been using the same app for years. So there's clearly not going to be any trouble for me using this app that I've already been using with my students. And we did remote learning in the spring, right? So I already know what to expect. So no problems are going to come up. And then came Monday, right? So remote learning this year is going to look a lot different than what was expected of students and ourselves last year, right? I'm going to, well, you have this available in the slideshow, and but this is directly from the CPS manual. We won't necessarily read through it, but it shows you what remote learning looked like last year in the spring and what it's going to look like this year in the fall. And one big thing that you've noticed is that everything is supposed to be digital. Okay. So this is my interpretation of how it probably looks and feels right now. We must be live and synchronous. Forget about all those apps I used last year because now they're not on the approved list anymore. What am I going to do? Teachers and schools are supposed to make sure that everybody has a device, and the classwork must be completely digital, but at the same time has to be functional non-digitally. All of this stuff that just kind of came at us in a whirlwind this week. Okay? And then plus murder hornets, of course, because in COVID. And all of the other things that are going on with our students, like police brutality and protests, all of this, all in one, just for you to start your year. But we can make it. So I have so many thoughts and conversations that I would like to have with you guys today. However, I know that I'm only going to kind of be able to cover so much in this session. Okay, so in this session, we're going to stick to covering what I said we were going to cover. We're going to cover how to make your environment digitally safe, how to make it flexible, even if you don't have access to computers or Chromebooks, even though right now CPS is moving towards everything being digital. And then also just some tips on how to be tech savvy at home since we're now for sure going to be remote. I'm going to primarily focus on being remote, but I'm also going to share ways. Some of these ways can be modified to be done in a blended or hybrid instruction if that should happen in November. I want to make sure that I can help out the best way that I can for you to be comfortable and to get started with organizing your digital classroom and your physical, your remote learning classroom this fall. Um, in this case, your physical classroom, like I just said, will be at home. So know that the chat that we're in can move really quickly. And since we have a full session, I may not be able to get everybody's questions right now, but I absolutely will answer as many as I can in my emails, or you can actually email me later if you would like to. I'll see if there's a way I can make the slides bigger, but I can do if y'all don't care about not seeing me, I can do like this, and now they're bigger. If that'll help. All right. So there we go. So I'll leave the slides like that, and that'll be a way that we can make them bigger. Um, so like I was saying, we're going to focus in on how to create an environment that is digitally safe, flexible, and tech savvy, even when you're at home. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to join my Google Classroom if you would like. This is a sample Google Classroom. And it would possibly be what it would look like for my students a little bit, but it also has some materials in there for teachers. I'm going to be staying on Google Slides. I won't be going in between my Google Classroom and Google Slides, but you're welcome to explore the classroom while I present. And you can also use the class code if you want to. So here's the bit.ly, and here's the class code. The bit.ly has the direct invitation link in it, and then if that doesn't work for you, then use the class code. Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one. All right, guys. So I'm gonna keep moving forward, because we're already 13 minutes in, and we have 32 slides. So whatever we don't get through will be available later on. There may be some things I end up skipping over today, but there you'll be able to access it in the slideshow later on, and I'll add the slideshow to Google Classroom too, so you have it directly in your Google Classroom. Okay, so you should customize your layout to make it feel as much as you as possible. As you see, like at the top of my Google Classroom, I have a little Bitmoji GIF that I made, and you don't have to worry about being a Bitmoji baron today at all. I'm not expecting, you don't even have to worry about that, but just make sure that whatever you put at the top, make sure it speaks to your class and it speaks to who you are. Keep things simple and orderly. So, make sure that you categorize the items. If you look at my classwork, all of my classwork is in my classwork. I changed the settings on my Google Classroom so that the classwork doesn't show up in the stream, and I can use just the stream to socialize with students. Okay. Use as much simple and familiar technology as you can, and make sure that you use apps and platforms that can be accessed on multiple devices. As I'll talk about later, there are some things that don't work on phones or there are things that don't work on Chrome. So, just be mindful that whatever you use can be used on multiple platforms. Okay, so how can I make my classroom digitally safe? So the things that I do to kind of make sure that my classroom is digitally safe, I started with this approach that I would take to any other part of my curriculum. So first of all, what's the definition of it? How do I define it? Um, how can I establish norms and find content that best addresses these standards? Then I need to share out these norms with my students in Google Classroom and with parents in their parent letter, and reestablish these norms and through our Google Meets at the beginning of every meet, put them at the beginning of every Google slide, integrate them with assessments to make sure that these norms are all the way integrated into my curriculum. Okay, so these are the ISTE standards that I used for um, for my presentation and for my classroom. These are the standards that I will be using to address digital safety. And I actually modeled my norms from these standards. So the next slide is just going to give you kind of a little look at what those standards will look like. Good morning, class. I care about you and I want you to be safe. To be digital citizens, we must understand the permanence of our actions online and make wise decisions when posting content, not share private or confidential information on social media or in any apps during this class, and as you can see, each one has a standard after it. Do not use the intellectual property of others without permission and accreditation. And a lot of this stuff are things that we warn students about anyway, and it made perfect sense for these to be the ones that we started with for digital safety, and because it directs an international technology standard, it just made it all the better. All right, so continuing on. Okay. If you look at, you can also kind of take a look at some of the assignments. I also included a parent letter in there, and inside the parent letter, it also has those norms in there that we would set up. And I included a link for the digital applied skills from Google, which are great because they have lessons. They have lessons attached to each one. If you look at in my classroom, if you look at the sample student lessons, the one that is dealing with digital safety is from Google. And they have a whole series. They have videos. You can download those videos. They have activities that are flexible, and they give the students flexible instructions in those videos. They tell them they can create a slide or they can do it on paper. So the digital applied skills, that's a great, great resource. Now make sure that that is explicitly labeled in the Google Classroom before I leave. Okay, so due to the digital divide, they've stated that we're going to be that we weren't virtual last semester, but now in the fall we are going to be fully virtual. It can be very easy to want to kind of be a stickler since grading is going to resume as usual. However, and I get that because I think that kids need to be held to standards. However, here is why it's still important to be flexible in spite of this, because laptops crash and fail, right? Students may temporarily lose connectivity. Some of you all are having connectivity problems today, I'm sure, throughout these meets. Students may be sharing a device still with their sibling, so they may not have access to their device all day long. Um, as well as I'm not going to go through all of the reasons that I have listed here, but there are several other things. Students might not turn on their camera because they may not be in an environment where they can turn on their camera. So students may not be as tech savvy as we think that they are, right? Because just because they can use TikTok doesn't mean that they can use Google Docs. They may need training there. Okay, so this is why it's still important to make sure that you do have digital and that your materials are accessed digitally and non-digitally, and that you are flexible and sensitive to that, while at the same time holding your students to a standard. So how can I make my classroom flexible? This is how you are able to hold them to a standard if your room is flexible, if you're giving them options, right? So I choose platforms that cover a range of devices. I make sure that my synchronous recordings are also available asynchronously. I make sure that you're able to assess mastery in a multitude of ways, including non-digital assessments, which can be submitted by a photo or a video, and then they can annotate on that later. I can annotate on that later on for feedback. I can write on the photo the same way I would any other photo that I would on social media, and then I can give that back to them for feedback, or I can add a comment for feedback. I make sure that my students have their school account set for offline access through Chrome. And I believe I posted an assignment in my Google Classroom the same way that I would with my students, where you actually have the steps of how to set your account for offline, to be able to function offline. Okay. Yes, you'll be able to access. I'm not closing the Google Classroom out, so you can use it all year. Whatever information I put in there, and I'll try to add some more throughout the year as they come available. So we can kind of use that as a sharing platform as well. Please use my Google Classroom as a sharing platform. And yes, you do need to use your CPS account to join this Google Classroom because it's a CPS classroom. And actually, I won't talk long about that, but that's a big problem that a lot of my students had when it came to accessing materials and accessing classroom is that see the CPS account was not the primary account for their Google, and so it would automatically transfer over to their primary account, which was just a regular Gmail, so it wouldn't let them access materials. So they had to go in and change it and make sure that their CPS email was the primary account, which is another reason why I'm asking students to make sure that when they do set an account to offline, that they set it to be their CPS account, so that'll kind of function as their primary account when Google tries to access anything. Okay, I didn't quite go through everything on this slide, but you're more than welcome to read through them later. So how to ensure the digital materials are flexible. These are some questions that I make sure that I ask myself. Um, First thing that I always ask myself is, does this best help my students to learn the concept? Is this going to be the best thing that I can use to help my students learn the concept remotely, right? Because that's first and foremost. That has precedence over any platform. If I use a tool in my classroom, it's because it was the best tool I had available to use. And then after that, then does this app or service serve for my students to comprehend it the best? And then what tangible materials or devices do my students have at home? Are there tangible materials that can supplement? Um, are those devices going to be able to function with the materials that I'm giving them? And is the platform easy for students to learn? And the way that I'm using the platform is easy for students to learn. Just because it's easy for me doesn't mean it's easy for them, as you probably learned in some sessions today. Okay, so how can I make my home workspace affordable? I think I'm going faster than what I thought I was now. All right. So even though I know that we have, and you know what, let me go back to, let's take a look at some of the things in the classroom before I move forward. I did want to point out a few things in the classroom for flexibility and for digital safety. So I think I actually will. I'm going to try to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm going to share my Google Classroom with you so you can see that on the screen. Oh no, you're more than welcome. Okay, so this is the safe and flexible classroom that I set up. As you can see at the top, like I was saying, in my regular classroom and in our regular classrooms, we like to make sure the space is personable. So at the top of my banner, I made sure that my banner was personable. I teach music, so I made sure that my little Bitmoji banner looked like a music room. And I set my dimensions for 800 by 200 because those are the dimensions for the Bitmoji for the banners at the top of the Google Classrooms. They have to be at least 800 by 200. So that's what when I went into Google Slides, those are the dimensions that I set for that. And I'll share that with you guys too, so you all can see them. And I think right now it's really important that we share materials because we're in a situation that we didn't really plan to be in. Right now is the time that we share. Um, it took a long time to make that, and it's just dragging and clicking and downloading each picture and then putting it into Easy GIF, which I have at the end of the program. Um, and then I also included some things in there. You matter, you're loved. So in my stream, like I said, I changed my settings. And as you can see, I can hide notifications for class on the stream, or I can show the attachments and details. If I do that, if I choose to show the attachments and details, and it shows every single thing that I've posted, that might be a bit overwhelming for students, and then they're going to have it in their classwork anyway. So I chose to go into settings for my classroom and to change the details so that the classwork on the stream is hot. I hid all the notifications. So now that's really, really clean. Okay. Hello, Deborah. Okay. And so I would reply to that student. So in the classwork, I included some things for digital safety. So this would be my digital safety introduction with students. I would add more to that, but this is just a sample. I have a parent welcome letter in there because I'm planning on inviting parents to be a part of the Google Classroom. They'll get this letter sent to them through email, but then it will also be in the classroom so they can see it there. Also, I tried to make sure that I included a lesson or a anticipatory set for a lesson that actually address digital safety. So for my students, it would be copyright law, something that would be really, really big for us to talk about. For music, for making sure that we don't steal anybody's content. So what is copyright law? Why does it matter? How do you protect your own music, and what does it cover? And so they would work on that. I was saying that there were some lessons for flexibility. So the virtual bingo we'll talk about later, and then also building healthy digital habits. This is a lesson from Applied Digital Skills that you can access. And if you're signed in with your Google account, then you can actually start the lesson, and you can actually play through with the videos, and it's a really, really good platform. So I really enjoyed that. I'm going to go back to the presentation now though, because I don't want to ramble. So I appreciate you all enjoying the Google Classroom. I hope I'm not dragging. So the way that you create a Bitmoji is, so there's an extension that you have to download. I can put a link to that in the classroom. If anybody else has the link to that, feel free to add it to the class stream, and then that way we can all access it later on. Bessie, I completely agree. Betty, I called you Bessie. I'm sorry. Really agree. All right. So I'm going to reshare my screen for the presentation. I'm going to go back over there. And any questions or any comments that you all have, anything that you all need from me or from anybody else as a resource, then just let me know. Here we go. Okay. So now home workspace. I wanted to talk about this because since we're going to be in front of students for hours on end, that's something that we really got to think about. We're going to be in front of students for 5 hours for 80% of the instructional time. Oh, and if you all need, like, if you all weren't able to get to any of the Bitmoji sessions or anything like that, just let me know. I see a few people asking about that, and I would be more than happy to, we can work on that, or I can even post some videos to this stream, well, to this YouTube that I have for my school, and you can access them there later. So I have no problem with doing that. Or we can go step by step. I chose to use YouTube for this PD because I can do things like this. Pamela. So that's the reason why I chose to use YouTube for the PD, so I can do that. And Saul, I will show you how to do the moving Bitmoji. I can actually get with you later on and show you how to use the moving Bitmoji. Okay. As a matter of fact, if I have time at the end, I'm gonna go through these high tech options, and then if we have time at the end, I have no problem with showing you guys how to do the moving Bitmoji at the end. All right. So, all right, back to this. Because I did want to make sure that we also understand like how to recreate some of those things that we had at school that we no longer have because we're not in our classroom. So there might have been things that you may have been used to doing at school that you can't do anymore, right? So here's how I categorize high tech, low tech, and no tech. So we all know those schools that have like that seem to be super tech friendly and we can do all kinds of awesome things. And like the kids are shooting laser beams around. It's just super awesome. And a lot of times those institutions can make us a little bit fearful about doing remote learning because we don't have the same resources that they do. It also kind of makes us feel like our remote environment won't be as effective as their own. So usually high tech options are deemed something to be high tech. When a teacher, okay, come on now. I usually deem it to be high tech when teacher has quality pieces of technology, which they thoroughly know how to operate. When you have one-to-one devices for each student inside and outside of school, when the district is paying for the platforms that are needed, students have high-speed internet connection, teachers have a high-speed internet connection, and the teacher has a budget for technology, either the school budget or through fundraising, or the teacher's just like a super awesome teacher who love technology and they think of it as a pastime. They invest a lot of money in technology. Okay. Low tech options, they're still effective, but they're usually available when the teacher has limited access to technology outside of their device, and they do have some knowledge about how to operate the technology. They might not be the expert, but they do have some knowledge about how to um, access all the platforms and all the school apps. Students have cell phones that can be used in class and at home, and may have limited internet time available. Students might have to share a device, like a lot of our students do. And the teacher is paying for the platform and tools, but doesn't have a big budget. So those are when low tech options are available. And then finally, our no tech options. So like last year during remote learning, we had to make sure that we gave low and no tech options because our students were not prepared to work digitally. Even though the district is saying that all coursework must be completed digitally, they're also saying that you have to have non-digital parts of the curriculum, right? So I think about no tech when I think about the fact that teachers have internet and connectivity, but they might have limited knowledge of how to operate that technology. So they use other means. Or students have little no access to technology, which some of your students, even with this, may end up with little to no access to technology. They have little to no internet connection. That happens between times. Um, you don't have any platforms, or you don't have access to a whole lot of platforms, and there's a budget. They told me there was a budget. Maybe you don't have a budget. Okay. So you can still shift your options with a little bit of ingenuity if you just approach it a little bit differently. So this would be my ideal setup. I'll let you take a look at that later on, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to focus in on the tech equipment and a little bit of the physical environment. I am not going to focus in on the virtual environment and assessments today. Okay, so I'm a firm frugalista. So if you don't have it, then make sure that you're able to use what you got. And there are so many things that you can do with these devices that I have up there that almost everybody has in their house. Okay. So some things that I think about for my tech budget, what technology do I need to create the best learning environment? What technology do I already own? Is it useful? What can my school supply? What can I get for free? And what else do I need to buy? Right? Okay. So with that being said, my ideal setup would be to have a PC, to have one or more monitors so that I can look at my Google Meet and look at my presentations, have all the HDMI cables that I need, smart board, document camera. Probably not going to happen, but super awesome is what I would like to have. So even though this would be my ideal setup, I don't have all these resources at home. So what are the workarounds for this? So I don't have two monitors, but I have a TV. And if you have a flat screen TV in your work environment, it has an HDMI cable in the back. That's probably how you set up your boxes and stuff to it right now. So use that HDMI cable and attach it to your computer. And I can give a step by step on that later. And now you have a second monitor. You can look at what's happening on the presentation on your TV, and then you can watch your Google Meet on the Google Meet, or vice versa. Okay. All right. Or you can use the Dualist Chrome extension, which splits your screen in half. And I'll provide a link for that. I'm actually going to present on that later on in my extensions meeting, but you can use Dualist. Okay. I don't have a smart board, so to the smart board, I use Jamboard. I'm sorry for the misspelling of Jamboard, but I use Jamboard instead since I don't have my smart board in front of me. And it doesn't function just like a smart board, but I mean, it's pretty helpful. And plus, we're on a computer anyway. You're on a computer, so you have access to all of the other internet files and things that you would need. And Jamboard is going to be integrated in with Google Meets coming up in the fall. Okay. So I don't have a document camera. So instead of a document camera, I'm going to enter Meet on my smartphone while I'm on my Google Meet on my computer. Then from there, I can share my screen on my smartphone. And then whatever my screen is pointed at is going to display it for the class. So now my smartphone is a document camera. And I don't have a quality webcam. So I buy one, like I bought a little small one on top of my computer for now, or I can use a old, not old, but I can use a DSLR or a camcorder that has an HDMI attachment, and I can attach that to my computer, and I can use that as a webcam if I just really need another webcam. But if you don't have one, you can find a decent webcam for for Amazon. It doesn't have to cost a whole lot, you know. unless you're trying to really do some super awesome stuff, then, do you and invest. But if you're just trying to do a Google Meet or something like that, and you just want the picture to be a little bit clearer, get a $30 webcam. Okay. Yeah, whatever things I think about, I come up with, I try to make sure that I share with other people because I want us all to be successful. Um, so other things to consider, including in your on-camera environment, right? All the things that you already have. So make sure that, right now, where I am, and I'm just going to show you me for a second so I can make sure, and I'll make the screen bigger again. I know we're a little smaller. But I just have my bookshelf behind me. I have a ukulele behind me. I have a few, but I have a few albums, a few old albums behind me, so I have things that I already have. I have this little plant that I had from one of my old classrooms that I brought home. I'm going to add a few like pop lights $1 a piece. And so I'll have my little home environment set up. Also purchased these little lights right here. They were like $48 for 2 lights. Let me see if this one turns on. Let me see. This one I'm not as crazy about though as the other one. So those were like 48. And then this one I'm going to show you guys later. These were like 155. But I have these so just in case I need to record something. And I got these because I like photography too. So it's not that I'm just buying that just for school. Okay, I'm gonna make the screen big again. All right. So books that you already have at home, items that you remove from your classroom. Like I said, I removed the little plants, and so now those are part of my virtual environment. Something in your house that makes the space meaningful to you. Um, For me right now, I have like pictures of grandmother up here, and these are my parents up here behind me. So I have those pictures as a part of my environment so that, you know, I'm connected with my students when we're going through. The lights only because like if it gets like super dark. And some of the stuff I already have for other things, and so I'm just going to use them. So I had the lights already, but I'm going to use them. I'm going to use them outside of this environment, outside of what I would usually use them for. You, you don't have to have lights. Um, but yeah, something meaningful for you, something that makes the space comfortable and appropriate for you. All right, I'm gonna come back to that later, Mary, because I gotta process that for a second. And then also replacements of things that you use physically for live lessons. There are lots of ways where you can use your teacher pay teacher things in your digital environment, and you can also hang some of them up in your you might need to find or get a printer. There is, and I just thought about this, and I need to include this. There's a list of virtual manipulatives, and I'll add that to the classroom that you can use. Corkboard, a whiteboard, and also a student work display. Okay, no problem, Betty. Okay, so if you want to do more, like like kind of leads up to what Betty was just saying. So we want to do more than get what you can, right? So there are certain things that you can get. This is a link to the webcam that I'm using, and then the other one is a link to the lighting. And I just included the lighting since I had it. If you want to, you don't have to buy $155 lighting for your space. You don't have to buy $50 lighting for your space. Really, all you need is a well-lit space. And if I'm really honest, if I didn't have that lighting, in times when I did not have that lighting, what I would do, yep, the dual list extension helps you to split your screen. And I'll add that. But if I did not have lighting, okay, I dropped something. But I would use like a little lamp like this where I can like twist it and then I would put it in front of me just to make sure the students can see me. That's all. So that's what I would do if I didn't have the lighting though. So yeah, if you want to do more though, but then get what you can. Get whatever it is that you can get for your environment, and then just make sure that it's the most cost effective. Um, it's the most cost effective way to do it. But there's so much that you can do without it, like we talked about before. You already have so many materials. If you're a teacher, you bought materials, so you have so many already that you can use, and your students will still love to engage with remotely. Okay, so these things are going to be necessary for you to use. Let me make sure that I'm not overtime. Okay, I'm not overtime. Cool. So these things are going to be necessary, like for at home. You're going to need HDMI cables. If you get a long enough cable, then you can be far away from your TV and still be at your computer. So I would say get like maybe a 10 to 20 foot HDMI cable, depending on the size of your work area. If your TV is close to your work area, then get the shorter cable. And actually, shorter cables are better because the information travels quicker. Okay. So then HDMI adapters, some of these ones that I have listed here, and they usually come in like a pack on Amazon for like $10. So if you look up HDMI adapters on Amazon, there will be a pack for about $10 that has every single adapter that you could possibly need, just in case your camera has a smaller input than what your computer does. Also, if you happen to have something where like it has a like the old school back of the projector VGA adapter, there are adapters that can change that between that and your HDMI cords. That might be necessary, but it also may not be necessary. You might need a speaker. You're gonna probably definitely need a surge protector though. So that way that you know that whatever equipment that you're plugging in for your Google Meets, you have and it's protected. I know Belkin makes a really, really good surge protector as well. So I have like just two sample activities. We're not going to do them together, but I am going to mention them. So two that I thought were really cool that I've kind of seen come up a bunch, and I added slow motion to it. But having scavenger hunts, and they could be seasonal or they can be project based. So there are certain things that I can have students do to help to show them things for voice with everyday objects, and there are things that I'm sure that you could use for anticipatory sets for your reading examples or for any of the lessons that you have that the students can find at home. So one way to engage them is to do a scavenger hunt. I added slow motion because I know that when I taught elementary, if you say go, kids will, if you don't express that they're supposed to be walking calmly and quietly, they will just go. Okay. So I added slow motion to that to add some fun to the fact that they have to move quietly and they have to move slowly. So a slow motion scavenger hunt. The one that I had included in here had like the Mission Impossible song in the background, so you can just have students to go find something, give them 2 minutes to find it, and then play the Mission Impossible song so they can move in slow motion and feel like they're doing something. They won't run over their brothers and sisters and their parents, and they're safely engaged in activity. Okay. And then the other one that I have in the Google Classroom is a virtual student bingo. I used to really love doing student bingo with my students, and this is one way that I plan on engaging students at the beginning of the school year. So if you go in the sample class and you go underneath classwork and you go up underneath flexibility lessons, there is a virtual student bingo on there, and it's the MCU edition. So I just use the Marvel characters because I like Marvel, and so I just use them for like a sample virtual class bingo. I will have students to either complete this on paper and send a picture of it, email it to me, or have them complete it virtually through like a form or a slide, or even create like a short video about themselves if they feel comfortable with it. If they don't feel comfortable with it, then they could just do one of the other two options. But that's being flexible, giving those three options. And then from there, I would create a virtual class bingo where the first slide is the bingo slide, and it doesn't have to be different for every student because they're remote. And then the rest of the slides actually are slides that show the students and allow them to get to know each other. Okay. Okay, and then like I said before, so if it's something that you can't make, somebody else probably already did. Okay. So some of the things that I like that I've seen, hyperdocs.co is a website which has pre-made hyperdoc lessons. So a hyperdoc is a digital document like a Google Doc where all the components of a learning cycle have already been pulled together into one central document, right? It's in one space. It could be a Google Doc or it could be a slideshow. So within that document, students are able, they're provided with different hyperlinks so that all of the resources that they need are in that cycle. Okay. A Bitmoji classroom is an example of a hyperdoc. So that's why everybody is like, oh my gosh, Bitmoji classroom, because you can click on everything and it takes you to different links. And you can create lessons like that. So that's what a hyperdoc is, right? And that website has pre-made ones already readily available. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for, like Teacher Pay Teachers. So, and then that bit.ly that I included is a digital agreement that you can modify and you can give to students. So the one that says bit.ly CSM digital agreement, that's a digital agreement that you can actually modify and you can give to students later on. Okay, and I'll make the slideshow bigger again. I'm sorry. There you go. Um, you know what? Usually I do it at the beginning of the year, but you can have them bring their own bingo topics, absolutely. And you could center a bingo around. You could do it as almost you could do that almost as a scavenger hunt too. Have students to search the web based on a topic. And see, now I'm going to do that, Doris. I actually like that idea, and I'm going to do that. But usually I do it at the beginning of the year. And I like doing it digitally now. I like it better than just having students like introduce yourself in the discussion, and then having kids respond, because I think it gives them a sense of closeness when they get a chance to um, see a slide or even like see a video created by their classmates. It gives them a sense of closeness and community. So I do it that way. But um, I do like the idea of also having kids with their own bingo topics. All right, so let me move on from this. The last thing that I do want to mention to you guys before we leave, these are some other sites that I love. Remove.bg allows you to remove backgrounds from images, and I'll show you how that works when I'm going through the little bit of the Bitmoji thing. If you have time, you can stay on. If you don't, then you can log off and chill. Small PDF makes a PDF out of any document almost. You can make a JPEG into a PDF. You can also split PDFs and merge PDFs. Small PDF is great, and these are all free. And then easygif.com, which is what I use to create my Bitmoji banner. Okay, virtual goodie bag. I do have one thing for you. Okay, so Corey Pollock, who created the Google Meet Enhancement Suite, has made a new discount code just for you guys at Googlepalooza because you all attended the session, and you can use any of their Meet Pro plans forever. So their Google Meet Enhancement Suite Pro plans. That's an add-on. I mean, that's an extension for your Google Meets, and it allows the productivity part to just it increases the functionality a whole lot. But you can use those discount codes, or you can use that link directly, and it moves it from being $7 a month to being $5 a month. and it already has a lot in there. You can mute everybody, you can kick everybody out of the class. So it's a really, really good attachment, and it helps to supplement for some of those things that we thought we were going to get through Google that we may not be getting in time to start. Okay, and I think that is my last slide there. So what I'm going to do for the last 5 minutes is I'm going to pull up. Let's see how quickly I can do this. Stop screen, and then I'm going to share this other tab with you very quickly. Okay, so now we're on this tab. So the way that I made the banner, I went over here, I went to page setup, I changed page setup to custom, and then from custom 800 by 200, sorry, not 2,200, but those are the specifications for Google Classroom. Okay, I deleted all of that. I went to background, chose an image. And then if there are any other questions or anything, please put them in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful for you. Background room. Look at all these rooms I have available. I think I like that one. So we'll use that one. Okay. And then I can insert different things in here. So we'll just insert one thing. So we're going to insert a couch. Let's go here. Let's move this couch over. Hold on now. Okay. That one happens to already have a background removed. If you had something that didn't have a background removed, like this one here. Okay. For whatever reason, I don't know why it's acting up a little bit. And what I do is put that on a blank slide and download it. And then, well, and I'll show you how to do that later though. Let's go back to the Bitmoji part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to, I have an extension up here. Let me see. So you can see my whole screen. Okay. So you guys can see the whole screen now. So up here, there's like a little thing, and it's like a little splat. And that's where my Bitmoji extension is. I had to log in to Bitmoji, not to create my Bitmoji. And then once I have that, then I'm going to right click, and I can either save the image or copy the image. I'm just going to copy it for now and hit paste. Everything's so small. Okay, she's upside down. Your right side up. Okay. And then make it a little bit bigger. Move the couch down. And then if I want her to slide over to the couch, then I would just see that there, put it right there, and then go to download and download a JPEG of it. And then I would take my arrow key and move her over a little bit, or move her over manually a little bit, and then file, download, JPEG. Move her over a little bit, file, download the JPEG. And it takes a long time, so I'm not going to show you all of that. But what I will do is, so now I'm going to go to easygif.com to make my Bitmoji. before I go to EasyGIF, because I said I was going to show you. If I go here to this Bitmoji extension and I see one that I like, but maybe the background isn't removed. Okay, it's stalling now, you guys. Thank you all for your patience. Okay. Okay. So if there was one that I liked and then the background wasn't removed, so like that one, or like let's say, so this is the one that I used for her to be jumping on the couch, jumping off the couch. Instead of copying image, I'm gonna hit save the image. And then once I save it, then I can go to remove.bg. And if it had a big background, then it remove that big background, but this one doesn't. So all I have to do what I can do on here is edit, erase, and then just erase that daggone trampoline because I don't want it. And then download. Okay. And then the same thing for some other things. But I'm going to the animated GIF maker, going in here, and then just uploading all of the files that I made, all 100 and something files that I used to make my GIF. Hit upload and make GIF. And then it'll take a few minutes to process. Those two I didn't mean to put in there, so I'll hit skip. I'll hit skip with that one because I don't want it to be in there. And then I'm going to set this delay time to be whatever I want it to be. I'll leave it at 20 for now. So you can kind of see what happened with GIF. So all of these are those pictures of that I made, just moving her and then downloading the picture of the slide, moving her, downloading a picture of the slide, moving her, downloading the picture of the slide, for multiple times, over and over and over again, right? Okay. And then that inevitably turns into this. It puts all those pictures together and it stitches them together into a banner for you. I made sure the specifications were the way they were because I made one for my slides and then it was too big for the Bitmoji banner. So now that's how I have my banner. No, no, no. I didn't save the banner several times in slides. All I did, so what I did was from slides, see, from slides, all I did was I went to file and I downloaded it. So I didn't save the banner itself, but I downloaded the picture of the actual slide, moved her over, downloaded the picture of the actual slide, moved her over, downloaded the picture of the actual slide. And so once I finished doing that, and it does take a while, I downloaded 102 pictures just to get her to move across that banner, to get her to move across the room. So I downloaded 102 pictures and I kind of plotted out Let me see if I can show you. So if you have to go, then you're more than welcome to go. I'm just short. So now right now I'm just demonstrating. So and I'm probably only going to keep you on for maybe like another 2 or 3 minutes if you are on, because I do value your time. Okay. See, like this right here, I made a mistake. And I want to show you guys at least like the one that I have. Okay, I guess it wasn't on this one. All right. Well, you know what? What I will do is I will make a video and I'll show you guys exactly which ones it works with. I'll show you exactly how it works. I am going to very quickly, just because I really love that remove.bg. And I'm just going to show you guys how it works really quickly. I'm going to take one of these just so that you can see the effectiveness of that. I'm going to download this. So take one of these pictures that I downloaded, and then let's say that I don't want all that background on there. I just drop it on there, and then it takes it and it removes the background. It removed a little bit of my face, so I open it, and then I can actually restore a little bit of the face that it took out, and now I have a transparent background on this image that I didn't have before. And that can be useful, like if you do come across an image of a couch or something that you want to use for your Bitmoji classroom, and it has a background in the background, then just background in the background. But use remove.bg, it'll make the background transparent for you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because this is kind of trippy to me. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions or if there's anything else that I can do to help. Let me see. Did you use your iPhone as a document camera? Oh, you don't have to have a program. So literally all you have to do is take your phone, log into Google Meet, share your screen, and then share the camera. Share the camera, because what it's going to do is going to pick up your screen. All right. So, all right. If there's anything else that I can help you with, you can either email me or you can just post it directly in the Google Classroom, and I will go back and I will check it. If you have any tips or tricks for anybody, then go back and post in the classroom, and I will be glad to. We can help you have some great ideas. So I think that was it. But you'll be able to access this presentation later on. If you need it, you'll be able to access it later on. And if there's a document camera that anybody can recommend, or document reader, Alexandra wanted to know that. Um, I think most of the other questions, if there's anything that wasn't answered, then I'll go back to the chat. Okay. All right. I'm glad it was helpful. All right. Thanks, you guys. Have a good one. And I'm available. I'll post this in the classroom. Bye. Oh, the code for the classroom before. Oh, I'm glad you said that. I was about to log on. Okay. So the code for the classroom is Z77SDQF. Again, that is 7, 7, S, D, Q, F. Oh, thanks, Lisa. All right, you guys, listen, you have a great day. And I'm going to share this classroom, and I hope to talk to you guys again soon. Have a great one. Bye. Hey, Gabby, I didn't see you. Oh, no. You're awesome. And Z Morales Ramos, I'm going to make sure that I send you something so you can get everything that we have in the Google Classroom. Okay. Welcome on board, though, but we'll make sure you get everything that you need. And hi, Lisa. TV is the way to go, Pamela. All the way. I do not use a separate microphone. Use the same microphone for my computer. But if you need a separate mic, there are some available. There aren't that much by road, and I can link those. There are some small ones. I'll link some things to have some mic and equipment if you need that. We'll make that a question in the classroom.